and welcome to the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Andy McNamara. This week, we are going to cover these things called video games, believe it or not. And we're going to do community emails and have some fun and just get through another great podcast. That's what we're going to do. That's what we do here at the Game Informer Show. And this week, I have a great panel. I have Jeff Cork. How are you doing, Jeff?
Hello. Doing well.
Hey, excellent. You're looking good. You're looking like you're getting through. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. Dan Tech. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here as always. I hope we're, just bringing some positivity to a world that could use some.
So you've got the standard jacket on, but you also have a Freedom Duck hat on. I don't know how else to describe it other than Freedom Duck.
When I saw this, if you want to know, and you're going to think it's stupid, but I was just like, this represents all of us coming together in our love of ducks and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
That's what, one nation, one duck. All right. That's how I saw this. Now, it may not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me.
I mean, let me ask everyone watching the show, does it make sense to you? Do you think that hat, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not watching on YouTube, for any audio listeners, it is a trucker hat with a duck shape in flight, that is an American flag. So it's the American flag flying duck trucker hat that Dan is wearing. Does that inspire you? That's what I want to know. Does that inspire you? Because I'll tell you, I look at the YouTube comments every week. People really like talking about this duck thing, and they really like you, Dan. They actually do. They're big fans.
I don't want to derail things here. Okay?
But I mean, are you? But the question is, are you pandering with that hat?
No. See,
no, you don't think so.
To me, it represents an ideal. Okay, it represents an ideal. That if you want. You could live the dream, okay, of just like hanging out with some ducks, feeding the ducks, watching the sun go down, and that is the American dream to me. Okay?
Well, flagrantly, you're also violating U.S. flag code by cutting out a tiny American flag in the shape of a duck and putting on a hat. I just want you to know.
It's a freedom duck.
Yeah, don't be surprised if somebody yanks that off of your head and throws it onto the ground respectfully.
Okay.
Because you're disrespecting the flag.
Am I?
But then that person would be disrespecting freedom ducks.
I actually did not understand. I that connotation really never crossed my mind. So if it does come off that way, I do apologize.
I was just joking, Dan.
Jeff's just he's trying to make your life difficult. I mean, that's all we're trying to do, Dan, is make your life difficult. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
And I'm here to feed ducks. So we're all on the same page.
Yeah. We are all on the same page. How you doing, Alex Stadnick?
Hello, friends. I am wonderful. I'm excited to talk a little Vigi games, especially after what we just watched here today.
Yeah. So Alex is right. We waited to record this podcast after just watching a new Last of Us Part 2. The state of play that Sony's been putting out, where they've been giving more and more clues into what's going on with The Last of Us Part 2, which we're going to discuss here in a moment. The reason we have this lovely panel is that Jeff played Minecraft Dungeons, which we'll talk about as well. Dan has been playing this game. Okay. It's called Monster Train. And we're gonna figure out what the Monster Train is. We're gonna talk to Dan about that later. We're also I want to take a quick moment to bring up a couple of points last week we talked about, that we would talk about Deep Rock Galactic this week. And just it didn't work out to have Miller on the show, but Miller wrote his review. It's up on the site. I highly recommend you check it out. I played some with Miller. Dan has played some. I did want to give you a little quote I got from Miller this morning, which was, if you want to play a good co-op game with your buddies, Deep Rock Galactic is for you. That's his kind of one-liner. Like, hey, this is good stuff to play with your friends. He gave it an 8.5. Now, obviously, you could go read the whole review, but I think right now it's fun to play games with your friend, to catch up, be social. I think that makes Deep Rock Galactic really stand out right now. I had fun playing it with Miller. It's not a 10, it's an 8.5. But it's fun to play games with your friends. Let's not forget that it's always fun to play games with your friends. So if you're looking for something to play with your buddies, definitely check it out. Also, too, came out last week, which Reiner reviewed, which was Maneater, which I also played some of, which is a ridiculous game. You play a shark. And you can like jump on land, eat people, and they call it a shark RPG. And I'll tell you a story. I was at E3 and I was walking around and I walked past the shark RPG thing, and I looked at it and went, Reiner is going to love that game so much. So, and of course he did, right? He was like, this is for me. And he all over it. But good fun. Even when I didn't finish it or anything like that. So this is an official review. But what do you know? Just like when there's a Sharknado, it's in that same kind of just dumb. Like the presentation is dumb. The things you do are ridiculous, and that makes it glorious, right? Video games. Sometimes you got to really lean into what video games are. Anybody else play it?
Yeah, I have been, and I just echo all the sentiments. It's just ridiculous. Chris Parnell does a lot of the voice does the narration for the reality show, and it's bonkers, and it's if you can handle the violence, it's ridiculous, refreshing fun that lets you forget about some stuff. So definitely go check it out.
Yeah, so those are two games that I think we should just definitely make sure we mention. Just some good things out there. Also, too, the new magazine is out with Wastelands 3 on the cover, which we're really excited about. We're going to talk about that more hopefully in the coming weeks here on the podcast. We were really lucky to get to play a ton of the game and looked at it, but Ben was unavailable today. He wrote the cover story, but check that out, please. And it should be arriving in your mailboxes any day now if you're a print subscriber. So that's great. So we just watched this state of play. It was I love Sony's with it's going to be 25 minutes. It's going to be 25 minutes. You're going to get 25 minutes of this. And I'm like, okay, all right, 25 minutes. I'm hyped. And I sat there on YouTube with 17,000 of my closest friends waiting 10 minutes ahead of time. But then, once it started, it got way up there. But it was narrated by the director, Neil Druckmann. And he started to talk about and reveal some of the details of The Last of Us. So just pointing to, this story of Ellie, which, and I want to get to this first and foremost here, is that if you haven't played the first Last of Us, you need to do that, in my opinion, right? Would you everybody here agree that it's a good game? You should go play. It's a game of the decade, game of the century type thing. Like the first Last of Us is a standout among all games. Whether it's your favorite or not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying it's a standout. It's a very impressive game.
I thought you were going to end with it's a good game. I was like, that is the greatest undersell in video game history.
No. It's up there, right? I don't see any top 100 lists, and I'm giving it a wide berth. By the way, I'm not my own personal taste. I'd be much higher than 100, but I'm just saying it's going to be on lists like that for a while. That's the kind of game that the first one is. This video, which I highly recommend you watch, because I think they do a great job of explaining the game, which we haven't known a whole lot about, and there is new stuff in here. Is it starts off with basically the ending from the first game, right? And we've talked about giraffes on this show, which is a moment from the first game, and there's a lot of things that happen in that first game on the story of Joel and Ellie that at this point you need to have experienced. If you haven't, you better hurry up, because Last of Us 2 is coming, and basically you're gonna hear what's happening very soon from everybody as they discuss it, because they can discuss that. So what they show is that, and so spoiler alert here, we're going to try to avoid that because I want you to have a clean play. But, I think you need to know that, Joel and Ellie are in this game, right? So that's a spoiler all unto itself, right? You know what I mean? That's where we're at if you've not seen the first game. So it starts off where they kind of show how they've settled in Jackson, Wyoming, that Ellie is 19, lives on her own, that this peace is short-lived in Jackson, and something happens, and Ellie needs to head out for retribution and justice. And I'm kind of quoting some of the trailer.
I think that's very good memory. Either that or good notes.
I take good notes. So the game, what they're trying to push for at Naughty Dog, who I'd like to point out, Naughty Dog is started with Crash Bandicoot, but in the last 10, 15 years, guys, and I'd love your opinion on this. They've really tried to push story in different directions. Uncharted, Last of Us, which now we'd be up to 6 games total in that series, and there's also some offshoots in that as well. So they've done a lot of games in this, but Naughty Dog, for me, I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to ask you this. I have very, very real memories of playing Uncharted, and the first time there was banter between two characters that felt real to me. The two characters in a game didn't feel like, we're going to go kill the president now. Like that it was like real sincere conversation between people in a game. And I think they've leaned into always trying to like bring a more real aesthetic and like real relationships to their game. I think I can say that's a goal of the things that they try to do, than the characters they create. How about you guys? I mean, am I overreaching there? Am I getting into hyperbole there?
No, that's fair. That's fair for sure. Yeah, the characters always seem very natural. They do a great job of drawing inspirations that we all know and love. Like, I mean, Uncharted is nothing if Indiana Jones wasn't a character. You know what I mean? Like, this is some well-trod territory. So they do a good job of like taking a kernel of a character type that people love and then running with it pretty well. But
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely I think that they've done well, and I think that they're going to continue to improve. And like The Last of Us was their great example of it, and I think they're giving hints now that they think that The Last of Us 2 is their next step in that. So that the game will take place in multiple seasons, multiple climates. They showed a rope that you could scale with, swing with. They claimed the largest environments they've ever made. They showed once again, if you want to know nothing, you should skip to the next part. But they also showed that there's a boat that you can use to require because some of the areas are so big. They pointed that Seattle's a war zone. They talk about some story parts, being that there's a Washington Liberation Front. There's these Seraphites or Scars that are involved in this. That, of course, there are more and more dangerous infected in the game. Runners, stalkers, clickers, shamblers are all mentioned, and they also hint at a scarier infected that they don't talk about, but they hint at one. And they show us all kinds of new gameplay stuff. So you guys watched the trailer as well. I kind of want to set the table a bit there. What did you guys take from the trailer as you saw it?
When they made a big deal out of like Ellie can jump now, I have to go back and play the original Last of Us because I was like, she couldn't jump before. Then I realized like, oh yeah, there were all those sections where Joel had to like move those pallets for her to cross the little bodies of water and stuff. I think we remember the high moments of The Last of Us, and maybe some of the other parts kind of fade with memory over time. I guess my ultimate thing is I just don't think that this game or the previous Last of Us, I don't think they demo well. I think that just getting action scenes out of context, it highlights the brutality, but it without any of the underlying understanding of what's going on. It makes it seem like you're playing a stone cold psychopath with game mechanics that are, frankly, we've done everything we've seen in that demo before in other games. There's really not a new gameplay. I'm sure that when you play it, we can't appreciate until you play it how effective that interactions are and how good it feels. But just looking at it, it is like bog standard stealth gameplay that, like, again, you've seen all of this before, and not having any kind of context with the storytelling, which, is, like you said earlier, like the character interactions, that's where Naughty Dog really shines. But just being like, here are the mechanics. I think that really does the game a disservice by doing it that way. And it's probably why Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog have been somewhat reluctant to dole out a whole lot of information about that, because just doing it as a little drip feed is just kind of underwhelming. I think that this is something that I think more than any other game, if they could have just released this without any kind of fanfare or pre-release hype, I think it would have been way better for everybody involved, because you would have had that element of surprise rather than just saying like, oh, she threw a brick to distract some guy. She crafted an explosive arrow. It's all stuff we've seen before, like I said.
And so you told me before we started the show that you would have skipped this trailer if had not had to do it for this podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've avoided all the pre-release stuff as best I can. I mean, like Reeves, when he went to the preview event last year, he needed people to prove the story, so I did that, but it was not necessarily under duress. But I would like to have gone into this completely blind, but the realities of our job, I understand that's not possible.
Yeah, I think that's the realities too. I think at this point, Naughty Dog makes really expensive games, and I think Sony, I bet someone, I think I bet your insight has been echoed. I bet that was a discussion at Sony. Like, could we release this without doing anything? Could we just cold release it? Like Apex Legend, when it hit, we said that was kind of a Beyonce moment. Not everyone is Beyonce. Not everyone can just drop an album out of nowhere. But Naughty Dog could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you're right. I think they could have just said, hey, guess what? This is what we're working on. we'll let you know when we're done, and then just someday you woke up and it was there. Would have been pretty crazy. How about you, Dan? Did you watch the demo?
I did watch the demo in preparation for this. I'm in full agreement with Cork, though. I think this is not a game that I want to watch anything before playing. It's one of those games that, based on the first one, I predict will be a very experiential kind of thing. It's not about the moment-to-moment gameplay. It's not about killing that guy or sneaking behind that crate. It's about the overarching story and tension and all those other elements that I think are just completely lost there's so many games that don't demo well, right? That are amazing. Like, I hate playing like a CRPG in a demo scenario. It's like I have no context. I don't know any of these characters. I don't know any of these units. I don't know any of these abilities. What am I supposed to do here? Okay, well, I'm in a castle fighting some demon. Cool. I'm gonna, I mean, like, for games like that, for games like this, which are tension-filled, dark experiences that you need to have that context for the gratuitous violence, for the horrible things that are occurring on screen, right? And why they're occurring, and the whole setup, like, that needs to be there for me to enjoy it. Otherwise, it's just I don't. Honestly, I'm with Cork on this 100%. Like, I know why they did it from like a marketing perspective. You got to like get her something out there. We're doing these awesome things for all of our games. 18 minutes, yada yada yada. That's cool, But like, I'd rather not see it, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same.
Yeah, I dodged. I mean, I definitely have been like extra careful. Like when there were those weird leaks that happened, that I was fearful of opening things. Not that it would stop your enjoyment of the game, because I think we're right in that you have to know where those things are, but you want to go in clean, right? You want to go in and experience. I think that's what people will run to when this game launches.
It's like the same thing. Like, a new Star Wars movie comes out, you don't want to be spoiled before you go see it, right?
Yeah.
So you've got connections with the characters from the previous movie or game. It's all wrapped around one thing, and it all has that context. If I was somebody else seeing a Last of Us game for the first time, and this is my experience with it, it's like, Jesus, this is just this is forget Call of Duty, glorifying all this other. We're just get in there, and that's, wow, what horrible stuff kids are playing this.
It's like, this is obviously the whole point of this game is that it's a story of revenge. Ultimately where that goes, we'll see. But like, it'd be like if you started RoboCop in like the second or third act, and you didn't get to see him as Murphy and like the humanity, and to realize what had been taken away from you. You just see Ellie riding a horse with her girlfriend. She's dancing with her. We don't get to see all that stuff because obviously it's not for us to see at this point in a demo. But then it's just her like ripping people's throats out and all this other stuff. And it's like, I understand there's going to be like, it's going to feel good while I'm doing it because these people are just so bad.
It's not a happy place. It's not a happy world.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think they started off the event. Neil was saying that, I hope everyone's safe, because there is some, like, this is a thing about, Outbreak Day is what happens in the original game, where this infection virus gets into people, and it transforms them into these the infected, and everyone in this game were people once, right? And it's got some real heavy tones in the original game of that, and that, like you said, that violence there on the surface seems one way, but it's a battle for survival. I mean, ultimately at its core, The Last of Us has been a survival game where you go around and you find things, and then you manufacture things as you try to get through the world as you see it. So understanding their perspective is kind of a big deal, and it's a big deal about what they're trying to teach you about the game. I did take one. I'm going to get the wording not entirely right here, but there was one line that I thought was worth mentioning, right? And they showed some other gameplay stuff that if you watch the video, you'll enjoy. We don't have to talk about those here, right? Was that at the end, they said that this was their largest, most ambitious game from Naughty Dog, that they had only scratched the surface with these demos that they have shown. And so that's a pretty bold statement, and I think a good one to kind of leave us on. So I think that that they've got a story to tell, and they don't want to tell it, obviously, as you watch into the trailers and the way you just kind of get bits and pieces. So I think there's still a lot to learn about that game, and it comes out June 17th. Kind of full
19th.
19th?
June 19th, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, June 19th. You're right. It is June 19th. It comes out June 19th. And a little full disclosure, I was able to tweet yesterday and kind of our bit that we have got review versions here at Game Informer, and that the reviews hit in June, basically. I think it might be the 12th.
June 12th, correct.
Yeah, June 12th is when the reviews will hit. So I've been very cagey here because I may know more than I want to know at this point, or that you want to know, maybe is a better way to put it. But to say I'm excited about this game, we talk about it the second week in a row, is underrating it, underselling it. How about you guys? What's this? Is this your summer jam? Is this what you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play it.
I'm eager to play it. I wonder if it's not my summer jam. I think that might be appropriate phrasing for this particular game.
It is one of those funny things. Like even the original game, you're like, there's times in like survival games you're like, is that fun? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that fun? You know what I mean? Like the survival games, and like when they get real deep and really heavy, so it's just kind of funny. Like it's not like roll down the windows in your car and blast the music kind of thing. But I think I'm excited for Naughty Dog, and I'm excited for Sony Interactive Entertainment. I think June 19th, a lot of fans can't wait for that to come soon enough. So let's move on from that before we get into any spoiler territory for everybody out there. Hopefully everyone stayed safe. Everyone stayed clean of that stuff. Let's talk about Minecraft Dungeons, which is out. So we can say whatever we want.
Yeah. We can.
Well, we can't say whatever we want. We don't want to.
Yes, we can. We can do whatever we want here.
So Jeff, you played the game extensively for our review.
Yes.
It's coming out. It's part of Xbox Game Pass.
There is a Game Pass. You can play it on Game Pass, and also you can buy the Hero Edition. That will. It's like a standalone. You buy it kind of thing. It also, I think, gives you some DLC when it's available as well.
And also PC and PlayStation, right? This is it's all over the place.
All over the place.
And Switch.
And Switch.
And Switch. Look at that. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I had no idea it was on the Switch too. That's great. So ARPG in the Minecraft world.
Yes.
First time I saw it, I was like, that's a pretty good idea. That looks like fun. This looks like a great thing. So we like the idea. Let's chalk that up. How was the execution? How was it for you?
It's a really rough one. It's frustrating because like I can see it seems like if you played the launch version of Diablo 3, you didn't know how much better that game was going to get over time. So like knowing how a game like this can get better and improve over the years, I'm really optimistic of where this is going to go because I think it has a really solid foundation. But just right now, it just feels kind of stingy in some of the ways. One of my favorite things about this genre is the acquisition of power to a point where you're just kind of annihilating everything that comes in your path. You know what I mean? It's like super, super fun and satisfying. And that really, the game isn't balanced that way. So it's consistently just feels like it's not never like I'm never going to beat this level. This is impossible. This is the Dark Souls of Minecraft, whatever. Any of that stupid nonsense. But it's frustrating because like the enemies always feel like they're hitting a little too hard for what they, you know what I mean, for where you are. And then the biggest problem I have with it is everything about your character is dependent on gear, right? So you don't have any innate character abilities or everything you equip. Like your cooldown items are basically you use artifacts that you collect to give you those. Right?
There's no classes in the game. You don't pick
exactly.
You don't pick warrior. Nope. You don't pick like a caster or anything like that. You just play.
You just play, and then like you have different weapons. Then you can enchant to kind of give yourself like the equivalent of those kind of builds. But ultimately, you're at the mercy of whatever drops, which is kind of frustrating in my opinion. I think the biggest thing though is that you've got like 10 main levels in there, and they're procedurally generated, but not wildly so. It feels like they're very repetitive if you play them back to back to back, which it wants you to do. Like there are different like world tiers, you could kind of call it the equivalent of that. You've got like the basic mode, and then once you beat the campaign, you then unlock adventurer mode, and then you beat that and you get apocalypse mode, and then obviously the gear and everything is a little better. And but you had to play through so much of the same content so many times to get to that point. There's not the equivalent of like a randomized version of a level that just like throws in enemies from all the different biomes and just mixes it up so you don't know what's going to happen. It's basically like, okay, I'm going to play the pumpkin or the swamp, say, for instance, and it's always going to have witches, it's always going to have slimes, it's always going to have like these kinds of enemies here. So it just feels like it is missing some of like the surprise elements that I think are a really big part of that genre.
So it's missing like the riffs from Diablo or the maps from
exactly. Exactly. You know, obviously you I'm not a like freelance game designer and everything. I just have to deal with what I've got in front of me. But it's frustrating as a player because you can see all that potential because like the enemy types, everything fits so perfectly within that genre, and like so much of like what makes Minecraft is just like it transitions so beautifully. Like the creeper is such a great enemy type, you know, to throw into like an encounter against like skeleton archers. You know, you've got this guy coming toward you and he's making the little hissing bomb sound. So you kind of have to figure out how to deal with that on the fly. But ultimately, it just seems like there's just not enough variety over the long haul. And this is a game that absolutely, I would say, like, well, not every game like this has to have an end game, but they are definitely steering you toward playing this game over and over again to get to the highest tier, which has the best loot and the most interesting like opportunities to get abilities and everything like that. So it just doesn't have enough meat to chew on as you're going through that process.
So I mean, so what you're disappointed in is that the grind is too real, like that it's too long, or grind, that it's just uninteresting.
All of the above, I think.
All of the above.
Yeah, it is. It's super grindy, and it's like I played it with my kids. I played it with some coworkers and stuff, and it's like undeniably like fun and enjoyable. But the way that you like, if I teamed up with people who were like way under leveled than me, and what it was doing is kind of bringing us all up to the same level, right? So I didn't have the excitement of being like, all right, I'm going to walk everybody through this. Everyone was kind of doing around the same amount of damage. It took me like 1 or 2 hits to kill everybody, just like it took them. But also the gear that I was getting was like half of my level. So it was like, I don't even know why I'm helping.
You're wasting your time helping people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this like kind of random item element. This seems like... Yeah. This seems like a big deal to me because if you're defined by your weapons, and I'm just sitting around waiting to be lucky, that is not a good player experience. Are there any systems in place that can counter that or help that along?
I think there are a lot of things that they can do that just aren't implemented yet. I think that there's like some interesting potential there, right? Because the way that enchantments are handled, I think, are really interesting because basically, like, you get a sword, for instance, and it has some innate abilities in there, right? You know, like it has this amount of speed, this amount of power, but you've got like enchant slots, depending on the tier of the world that you're in, anywhere between 1 to 3 slots. Oh, the 3 slot ones are fairly rare. And those enchant slots have up to 3 different things that you can choose from. And once you pick a path, you're kind of locked in there. So you could get like a burning ability that like when you hit something with your sword, it'll be on fire for a certain amount of time. And then on your other slot, you might be able to do something like every time I hit an enemy, there's a 20% chance that it'll make a healing aura around me, right? So you can kind of mix and match to kind of, you're basically creating your own legendary items that you would in other ARPGs, which is super satisfying. But you can like level each one of those selected ones 3 times. But what happens is like if you find another piece of gear that's really interesting, but you're kind of like, I don't know if this is better or not. You only have so many enchanting points at the beginning, especially, to where it's like to get points back to invest in a new item, you have to destroy your current one, kind of. You know,
okay, so gotcha. Yeah.
So it really like it kind of discourages experimentation, which is the whole point of this gear-based system, is that you're not locked into anything, right? Because I think the idea is like, all right, I'm having a really great time. I've kind of got this archer build going on. Oh, wow, this is a really cool greatsword. I wonder, I'm going to put this on and I'm going to like switch up the way I'm playing significantly. And just the way that the pieces fit, it doesn't really encourage that in a satisfying way.
And I can tell you, that sounds like something where I'd buy an in-game currency for extra money to do that. I mean, that's not the case in this game. This doesn't have any free-to-play elements into it, but that sounds dreadful, like some of the free to play elements that you encounter sometimes.
And you do have you could buy boxes, basically loot boxes, but they're in-game currency. There's no microtransactions or anything like that. But I think it's supposed to be kind of harkening back to the way that merchants have a random table of things that they sell in Minecraft. So it's not unheard of for that universe. You don't know what a person's going to sell when you go to a villager, but it's frustrating in this kind of thing because you're just I like great axes. I like being slow and I like hitting hard. And then you just open up boxes and it's I want a new great axe. Oh, this has a dagger in it. Oh, this gave me a new bow. This gave me a new piece of armor. You can't just say give me a random great axe or give me a random melee weapon. The things are all in this big bucket.
So I've heard some people say, and this is just hubbub, I don't even really know if this is true or not, right? Kind of thing that that people are saying that we're mad at it for being simple in some parts or not, or what is the deal there?
A really weird thing about Minecraft Dungeons too is you look at it, it's oh, this is just a simple game for Minecraft kids. But I think there's so much complexity there under the surface that I don't think it's necessarily a game if you want to play with your kids, and depending on the age of your kids, but like a 6 or 7 year old who wears a creeper t-shirt and is all about Minecraft all the time is going to have a hard time with this one, I think, just because the difficulty it's pretty rough and the systems there's a lot of nuance to kind of figure out. It's interesting, but I think it's kind of with this weird middle ground though, because it is an ARPG light, but they're kind of dipping both feet into some more complicated systems, but not without the support to really fully engage with them. When you're loot, so much of it is about your items and everything. There's not a way to favorite items so you don't accidentally sell them or create sets of items. So if I'm playing multiplayer, I can kind of have this support set, versus when I'm soloing to do that. There's none of that, which is strange to me, but.
Dan, you've played some as well?
I summoned a llama.
Oh, yeah, you summoned a llama.
Yeah, I actually made a summoner build. I do. You can make builds. There's obviously stuff that goes together, but it's, as Cork stated, it's up to chance whether or not you're going to have the right pieces that come together. There's a sword that harvests souls to go along with a book that uses souls, and llamas, bats. I also had a wolf. I was trying to get a summoner build going at some point, but then I'm my summoner book's too low level. What they should have done, instead of this stupid system where they disenchanted stuff to put it into other stuff, what is the point of that? You should have just made it so all right, I got a level 12 summoner book and a level 20 summoner other thing. I'll just make it level 20 now. Boom. There you go. Come on, guys. Let me play my summoner instead of it tried to push me into playing the Spider-Man or whatever, in my spider suit or my mining suit. You're just constantly replacing gear, because it's well, it's 5 levels higher. So I guess I'm a tank now. Nope, I guess I'm an archer now. I get what they're doing there. It's variety instead of trying to put you in that role. But if you're playing an ARPG, you want to do a role. Exactly. You don't just want to do everything. I mean,
yeah. Dan, so if you created the Spider-Man, was he boring and uninteresting, or is that just the other Spider-Man?
He had quick. Yeah, he was. He had quick attacks. But that was about it, man. So there you go. It's true to form. I didn't
called out.
I did. I got called out. We move on. Yeah. I didn't like the level with the traps. I hate traps in ARPGs. That's just a pet peeve of mine. Because I'm there to kill stuff and get loot. Making me fight against the environment. I get if you want to have an area with environmental hazards, that's cool. But just making me jump through hoops constantly, oh, it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. You're gonna die. I don't like that in the Path of Exile either. So it's just let an enemy kill me.
Yeah. Hey, Dan Tech.
These are minor things. Things.
Along the same lines, Dan Tech and Alex, because you guys have both played it. Isn't it strange that the combat roll is on a cooldown? And it's a fairly lengthy one.
It's a long one. If you've got to use it, that roll is clearly designed. You get away from a creeper, you get away from TNT that you threw, or you get away from a boss ability. All the bosses that I fought, it's still very early on. I only played a couple hours. But every boss would be every 30 seconds, I'm going to do a thing that'll kill you if you don't roll out of it. It's that's what they do. Yeah. So,
and you can't break crates and barrels. Very strange for an ARPG.
That was weird.
For a Minecraft one.
Yeah, they have crates and barrels in the environment. But you can't.
I will say that the cutesy Minecraft stuff, as a Minecraft player, who's played my fair share, I thought that was integrated very well. I was well, you know what? I'm in the Minecraft world. It feels and sounds like the Minecraft world. I didn't think that could be a thing, but they did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jeff, you gave it a
7.
Pretty average,
yeah,
in that regard.
Yeah. It's got some real highs, real lows. I'm sorry, what?
No, some highs and lows. Please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I'm optimistic. If looking at Minecraft, they are not afraid to iterate and add and expand over the time. And I hope that this gets the love it deserves, because right now it's a nice place to plant the flag, making a statement like this is what we want to do. And I think that if it's like fully realized, eventually it could be really something special. Because I think there is a lot of really cool stuff in it. But as stands,
have they put a roadmap out or talked at all about the way they're going to support the game post launch?
Well, there's not a roadmap per se, but if you look at the map, there is a big block with a question mark that says "not ready yet," but there's going to be
DLC.
DLC. Yeah, with two maps and an island. But beyond that, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm with you too. I think they should. I mean, it's good for. Minecraft. They're just like barely making any money, right? Like they're just kind of like just working their way along, so they can
try to make good, man.
So the fact that they were able to get this done is amazing right there. Let's just hope it is a jumping off point and they move forward and try to get more things together.
A true underdog tale.
Before we move on, I just want to say it feels so weird because it seems like they're trying to embrace some of those higher tier ARPG concepts, but at the same time make everything as simple as. So it's like, it's not for the kid. It's not for the ARPG enthusiast. It's somewhere like completely that satisfies neither demographic, in my opinion.
I was thinking about this while I was like playing it, and I don't envy anyone who was working on this game, because I would imagine it's like making a Star Wars movie where you're just like, okay, am I trying to appeal to the people that were 10 when this came out, or the ones that have aged with it over the years? And oh boy.
Right. It's like, well, these creepers are cute, these skeletons are cute, but at the same time, we need to give % increases to damage on the soul.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I think that is a challenge, but I think it's a worthy challenge, right? And I think it's okay to make Minecraft is a interesting world, and I love the aesthetic. Like, what it sounds to me, and I'm maybe jumping to conclusions here, is that commit.
Yeah.
Don't make it for both. Make it for one or the other, right? Like that. I think you could find charm and think that the middle ground is not your best look.
Yeah, I think what I would recommend is, if you're interested in the game, play through it once, unlock that second difficulty, and then put it on the shelf until some more content is added or something is streamlined, so that you're not stuck like I was playing through it in its entirety again and then again, because you'll get very tired of it. So play through it once, you'll have an incredible amount of goodwill toward it because you won't get tired of it.
Yeah.
And then wait.
Then wait.
Also try to play it with friends, if I could add on to that, because that was the most fun I had, even though Cork had to carry me the entire time. That was I enjoyed my experience with that. And I think Game Pass is a perfect spot to try this game out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's going to do well on Game Pass.
And as we said earlier with Deep Rock co-op always, any game, regardless of score, your game can be a 1, and if you have great co-op, it can be all of a sudden be a 10, at least for that moment when you're playing with friends. Yeah, I'm serious.
10. Wow.
Listen, I want to find this game.
Okay, that game doesn't exist. I was maybe stretching a little bit there. Maybe a little bit.
Or maybe you've got better friends than I do. That could be.
I'm just saying, I was making me laugh. I've had written reviews in the past. I'm sure you have too, where I've been like, this game 7, kind of like you're doing here. And someone's like, I played that game with my friends and it was the greatest game we ever played. And it's like, well, yeah, you had fun with your friends. It's like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's a different experience than like reviewing a game or like looking at all the different options or what it represents.
Yeah.
So that I'm just trying to point out that difference, that there is going to be people out there that think this game is a 12, right? Because they sat and played with their friends and like we're nitpicking and doing too much on it. But I think you have to look at all those angles and understand that playing with your friends is fun. That's just the reality.
It is.
So choo choo, Dan Tack. So Monster Train. So the way I understand it, I'm going to talk a little bit about your origin story here, is that you didn't know anything about this game. You were playing a different game, got bored of playing that game, and were just browsing through Twitch TV and saw the Monster Train and said, I want to check that out. Is this true?
That's one narrative. The other narrative is that as the PC editor at Game Informer magazine, I check Steam every day for the new releases and the new early access titles to keep, very great to keep great notes on all of these upcoming titles.
Okay,
you
fair
can
enough.
Pick which narrative you like.
Okay, it sounds like you've already picked yours, Freedom Duck.
We're all free to chase that duck. Andy.
Yes. So you found the monster train, and then you climbed on board because you played like 30 hours in like a 40-hour period or 48-hour period, essentially, right?
It was an old school game binging sesh, the ones where it's like, what time is it now? What? Well, it's already 4 a.m. I might as well stay up till 6, get some breakfast.
So tell us about this monster train, because I got to tell you, that name ain't doing much.
And the name and a lot of the stuff didn't do it for me right off the bat. I looked at it, I was like, okay. Because I'm going to be honest with you, there's like 100 Slay the Spire clones on Steam right now, right?
Yeah.
So I looked at this and I'm like, okay, it's another one of those. I don't have to worry about this. Well, there's a demo the day before release. I guess I'll play the demo. Oh, okay, you know what? This is actually kind of fun. I think I'll pick this up. So I picked it up, and then like, you really get to see the complexity after about an hour or two with it. It's very different than Slay the Spire. It does absolutely have plenty of inspiration from Slay the Spire. So if you know Slay the Spire, you're going to know the base mechanics and everything instantly. But instead of just being one character against a variety of enemies, you command a whole army of characters that you need to position. Positioning is a big element of it. It's a 3-lane game, essentially. And positioning is extremely important. And you control the whole army of monsters on the monster train to fight back against the armies of heaven that are that you're trying to take back hell from, that they've taken hell over.
Can you explain a little bit to us about like what the similarities are to Slay the Spire for anyone that hasn't played that game, please?
So Slay the Spire is a deck-building roguelike card game. But it's not like Hearthstone. It's not like Magic the Gathering. You can see elements of those things, but like people tend to freak out when we start talking about card games. They're like, oh, don't like Hearthstone, don't like Magic, don't like any of these, traditional CCGs. These are not like that. It's an RPG that uses cards for the combat. Okay? They have different costs. Like, let's say, like if we're going to Final Fantasy, like Meteor, the strongest spell, would cost like 5 mana, and like a Fireball would cost 1 mana. And those are just represented in a hand of cards. That when you have your tools available to you at the time, essentially.
The cards are essentially abilities and spells.
Yeah, exactly.
It's essentially what they are. That have a cost to them, and you use them that way.
It's exactly right. So it's not like you're playing Hearthstone or Magic. It's important to realize it's all contextual in this. It's very much more an RPG and a roguelike than it is a card game, but it's done with cards as the tools.
I think that's the charm of these games for anyone that hasn't played it, is that like it has the classic stacking, let's maybe say, from a CCG, in that like you can play this power up because you've got the next attack or ability you have lined up is going to really benefit from that, and that's how you like using these abilities and having these abilities play off each other is the skill, the strategy, the fun of these games. Yeah. So what makes this monster train stand out versus all these other Slay the Spire wannabes that are out there? What's driving you back? Why are you putting all this time into this game, Dan?
And there are tons. So it uses the same concept of ascending difficulty levels, so you can make the game harder on yourself to progress to the next sort of challenge rank.
Gotcha.
And when it does this, it really makes you think about the game differently. You have to. The standard game can be beaten just by like picking up a unit and being like, all right, I'm going to give that unit multi-strike and some extra health. You probably beat the game just with that. And that's very easy to do. When you start getting these more complex things, everywhere you position a unit, every time you take a unit cost into factor, every single card in your deck is a big deal. And that's true in any deck building game. But the positioning elements and the things that they change up on you over time, like with the difficulty levels, like saying, well, maybe this lane, you can't put as many guys there as you used to do on the earlier difficulty levels. You'll have less space to put characters. So now you got to figure that out. Or maybe when you put stuff in this lane right here, they're going to not be able to act their first turn. So you've got to figure that out on top of that thing. And it's just it's like layers of difficulty that layer onto your strategy. And you have to keep saying, well, so I needed this unit to get really overpowered, and I needed these spells to get super overpowered, and I needed to do this, and this, and this. And then you just need to keep adding to that, like just at a crazy level. Like maybe I had one unit that got armor stacking, but now this run I've got 3 different units that stack armor on each other whenever I play a spell, and I found a way to reduce all the spells in my deck to casting cost 0, and I found a way to multiply all those spells whenever I cast a spell and draw more cards. So now I've got enough armor to survive the onslaught.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you're figuring... It's just...
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're just figuring out like these insane combinations that you would never have even thought of when you started playing the game. Like, because you have to survive at that point. It's just like the game's like, I'm going to be harder, and you're like, well, I'm going to be harder then. And then the game's like, well, you know what? I'm going to be harder, and then you're like, all right, let's do this.
I mean, that's always been in my imagination of what a monster train is who is harder. Is what I've always said. Wait, did that come out right? No, wait, hold on.
No, it most definitely did not.
It didn't come out right?
No.
So are you playing characters? Are these named characters that you care about? Or are they just like an army of people that are just like whatever that you throw down?
This is part of the
different lanes.
From Slay the Spire. You've got 5 different factions to pick from, and you combine them. So on any given run, you're playing 2 of Hell's factions.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's like the Wood People or the really cool one. A really cool one I thought was really interesting, and I'm not sure where they were inspired by for this one. These are like Wax People. So they're very powerful, but they burn down. Their wicks burn down, so they burn out. So they die. So you've got to figure out a way to keep them burning in order to keep their powers intact.
Do these guys normally live in hell?
Yeah,
wood and wax? Is there like a snowball guy?
The whole concept of like the plot is ludicrous. I don't know where they pulled it out of. It's fine that it doesn't make any sense that you're going down to hell to oust some angels. Who cares? It's all trimming for the strategy. I get it, but like, it's completely ridiculous, and I'm glad they leaned into it instead of being like trying to pretend that there's actually some kind of plot or story going on.
So, are we the monsters on the train, or are we going after the monsters on a different train?
Well, if you want to be philosophical about this, we're all the monsters, right? But no, you control the monsters. You're trying to reclaim hell from the angels who have taken it over.
Okay, and using your army of monsters to do so. That you take down on a train that I assume is this a locomotive? Is this steam, electric? What kind of engine is it?
Familiar with Snowpiercer? It's a giant locomotive.
It's a giant locomotive
with 3 levels. See, I think that from a design point, they're like, we've got 3 different lanes, and you're going to be moving in this game. How do we do that? Why not get a train? It's the only thing that fits the bill, right? Like
you could make a hamburger. That would have worked too.
That would have. You know what? I want to see that. Like,
yeah.
Monster Train 2 is like a kitchen event.
Yeah,
you got different food groups you can combine. This one's free, guys.
All right, I'm going to be stupid for a moment. How does a train solve the 3-lane problem?
Because you're moving through hell, right? So you've got these factions moving through hell with 3 different lanes. It'd be really messy if you just had to move these. You're moving your whole army. Like this way, you're mobile. You're positioning guys on different areas. It's really quick. It's really easy. It makes sense because you're going through hell. Like you're going through the layers of hell.
So it drives a little train and drops those guys off in that lane, then takes a different train and drops them off on a different lane.
You're on the train. The lanes are the train, right? The levels of the train. Okay, so like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3 of a train.
Of a train car. So like a train car has 3 levels. Yeah. Okay, a train car has 3 levels.
Where does the hamburger fit in?
The hamburger's in the sequel.
Okay.
Which is Monster Restaurant and the lesser known Monster.
So each level is a car then in the train?
Every level of the car. There are different stages in the game, but you've got 3 levels of the train. Okay, so the train car on top. It's a multi-layered train car it's a train car with multiple stories on it. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. 3-story train cars.
Yeah, 3 stories that you can put monsters on anyway. It's actually 4 stories. The item you're protecting is at the top. They enter at the bottom level, and then if they beat the guys on floor 1, they go to floor 2. If they beat the guys on floor 2, they go to floor 3. If they beat the guys on floor 3, they go up and they damage your life points. By getting to the top. All right, your whole goal is to like tower defense them away from getting into there, but you don't even have to use any units if you don't want to. There's magic builds that, and oftentimes, like, let's say they put in but that the army that's coming is like the unrepentant ones or something, and they have like spike armor,
and they're mad at my train.
If you hit them, they're going to kill your guys, so you don't want to put guys in their lane. You want to let them pass and kill them with spells, but yes, you don't want them to hit your pot.
I guess I'm still trying to figure out why is this a train? I still don't understand why this is a train. Does anyone understand why this is a train? Jeff Cork, do you understand why this is a train?
As more time passes, the more confused I'm getting.
The train's power is powered by the last bit of power from hell. Okay, a pyre, the last fire from hell, is essentially powering this train to get back to the lake of the frozen lake in hell in Dante's Inferno, whatever, like the layers of hell. Right? We get down there. And we put the flame in, and we win. That's how we get hell back. It's like I said, the plot. It's just there, okay. It's clearly just a
But making you explain it is really enjoyable for me, at least. I think we may have lost all our listeners. They may have given up on this stupid train conversation. But I love
rules.
it. Yeah. This train rules.
Yeah. I love for the YouTube viewers who have been like watching the footage I've put up for the last like 7 minutes, they're like, yes, we know, we can see that.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, if I saw this in action for 2 seconds, I would instantly be like, oh yeah, of course. That's what's going on.
It's a train. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the train. Yeah. You're in the train. It's interior trainage.
But is it a train going to hell?
You are going to hell. Yeah, that's the goal, to make it all the way to the hell.
Aren't we all trains going to hell?
Yeah, I know it's like a bad 80s metal album, but it's like it works, man.
Why don't the Angels just destroy the tracks?
I'm sure they try. We're stopping them. We're too powerful.
Oh, okay.
You have to fight. There's a Professor Angel you fight. He's got a wrench. Don't ask questions.
Because the wax people are coming and they're going to stop. They're going to drip wax on them.
You know what? The wax people are awesome. And even if you don't like the wax people, the race before them that you unlock, they're a race of demons that eat other demons. So you feed them units. It's really quite. I tell you, the strategy. And then you're like, let's say you don't want to. Combining them is the fun part. What if you feed the morsel units to the candle people? That's a build. Maybe you can give it a try. See what happens.
I love how nonsensical the last 10 minutes of this podcast has been.
Video games are neat. I love it.
It's like made zero sense. Yeah. So let's go to community. Okay, here's the first of new games I'll be making for you to see what sticks. So someone has gone out there. People last week I talked to them, which by the way, send your questions and things like that to podcast@gameinformer.com. I was like, hey, last week, we killed GI Town. We decided it was done. I decided it was done. It's fun. Good times. Now, what's funny is as soon as I looked at the letter section, everyone sent in a ton of GI Town stuff now. I said it's dead and then everyone sent it in, but I'm not doing it. But here we go. I did ask for if you had any new ideas. So here's a new idea. This is good idea or bad idea. People looking for quick advice from GI. Okay. So you just have to say whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. And this is from Andrew Flanagan from Riverside, California. He says, thanks for the show and your time. I hope this is fun. All right.
All right.
Good idea, bad idea.
Yep.
Talking about Monster Train on the Game Informer show. Good idea, bad idea.
That wasn't actually a question.
No, that wasn't actually a question. No.
Galaxy brain idea.
No, okay.
Good idea.
Sorry, I got off point there. So, good idea, bad idea. Turning Mario Kart into a drinking game with your friends where you take a shot every time you fall off the track or get hit by a weapon.
That's the quickest game possible.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea, right? That's not a good.
Yeah,
it's not a good idea. No, you need to pace yourself. Pace yourself.
And plus, who's monitoring all that falling and hitting?
Well, how many times do you get hit in a match? 10?
So many times. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Andrew is ready to party if that's the game that he's come up with.
Yeah.
Maybe a shot of beer. A shot of beer might be all right.
Not saying I've ever done such a thing, but if I did, we may have done a tamer version of that.
Really?
Yes. Am I describing my drinking games from college? Should we go into
this?
Now.
Good
idea or bad idea? Okay, we played Mario Kart, and basically
Mario Kart.
Yeah, and basically you just the concept was you had to finish your full beer by the end of the race. So like, you could choose to either start at the finish line or start at the start, not touch it. Or down your beer and then go, or you could, but you can't drive while you're drinking. So you have to figure out their strategy to
it's a time penalty essentially.
Exactly. So it would be kind of honor system, but yeah, you could, there's plenty of people who chugged their beer at the start, then tried to go, which got dicey as the night went on, but yeah.
So Alex, good idea, bad idea?
Always drink responsibly, kids. That's what I have to say.
So you had a good time.
Mario Kart's a top tier video game drinking game.
Gotcha. All right. So next one is turning Bloodborne into a drinking game by yourself, where you take a shot every time you die. Good idea, bad idea?
By yourself. Alone, getting crunk, playing Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Good idea, huh? You're gonna go with good idea. You're gonna go with good idea. I say bad idea. I'm gonna go with bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Sad idea. That's what that is.
Okay, I'll agree with Quark. It is a sad idea.
I'm not above doing those kind of things either. I'm not not a judgy sad idea, but let's just be honest, it's sad.
Yeah.
Get some friends over, play past the sticks.
Yeah.
You know.
No.
Binge watching all of American Horror Story in 1 week. Good idea, bad idea.
Oh,
the whole series?
Yeah, the whole week.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Not only because oops, sorry.
I've never watched it. There are
some that are good.
Yeah.
Some of the seasons are quite good. Some of them are
atrocious.
You wonder where they came from.
Yeah.
If it's even the same. Is this the same show I'm watching? Like,
yeah.
God, like,
yeah.
I love that they always swing for it. Like there's never an idea too dumb for them to be like, man, that's not a bad idea. No, they will try. Whether it's like all kinds of stories that are like seem very prominent for like an episode or two and then never discussed again.
Yep. I love it when that happens. Then they'll just they make stuff up. They sometimes they'll just decide like halfway through the season that they didn't care anything that happened before it and just go in a completely new direction all of a sudden with completely new people. It's the most maddening thing ever.
Yeah.
But other seasons are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But bad idea to binge it. Bad idea.
The whole thing, because that's
bad
like
idea.
what, 8 seasons?
Yeah, that's
I don't even think it's possible to do in a week if you kept it running.
Also, like, I mean, you'd be sad.
Maybe they watch it like you play Monster Train.
That ain't safe.
Yeah,
can't recommend that. Bad idea.
Yeah,
bad idea.
Alex,
I was just gonna say, like, too much spooky stuff gets me down, man. And not only that, then you have bad TV on top of it. That's from some seasons. Bad idea.
So I'll leave you this last one. Mm-hmm. Binge playing all of David Cage's games in a week. Or two. He does give you an extra week. So you just have to play all of David Cage's games in one period, one after another.
Does he just want us to take what is this? He's just trying to tee up a shot here. I don't really want to know if I want to play this game.
I mean, I gotta tell you, it's actually, I don't know that I think it's a bad idea. I mean, you will laugh, you will cry. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there is, whether you think they're good or bad games, I'm not judging. I mean, they're definitely an experience to some degree, right? Like, I mean, you don't ever walk away without some kind of opinion on what is going on in those games.
If you're speed running them essentially in a week, then it might lose some of the impact.
So that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. All right, excellent. We also had someone brought us a good game that we're going to try again later. But I just want to bring it up to Bowsy. I got your suggestion, and we'll get to it. Just not this week. It's not quite ready. And we had another great suggestion on these game fronts. Someone sent us an audio game. Which is like we were checking out, trying to figure out like too short notice for when I just read the stuff in the morning. But we're going to try to see when we get back to the studio if we can do this. There's some fun ideas out there. So thank you all for sending those into podcast@GameInformer.com. Next one. Hello, GI crew. I wanted to ask you all about your regrets when it comes to losing or giving away games and game consoles over the years. I was thinking back to when I was broke freshman in college and sold my copy of Wind Waker for a measly $10. Yes, it's embarrassing, which to this day I still regret. I feel like this experience has made me hold on to subsequent games I've owned longer and be way more cautious about selling anything video game related, particularly Nintendo games. So does the crew have any similar stories? Would love to hear your examples. Thanks, Jared from KC.
I sold my copy of Steel Battalion with the controller to some fly-by-night operation called Funko Land. Sounds made up, but...
It does sound made up.
I really do. I do regret that one because that would be a really fun one to fire up every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a copy of that here. I can see my controller from where I sit, actually. That controller is hard to keep. The only thing about that is that keeping it is you just don't ever know what to do with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have a whole closet full of Rock Band guitars. I don't know what to do. I don't want to throw them away. I don't know what to do. It's a blessing and a curse, the peripheral game. But I hear you. That's a tough choice. How about you, Alex?
Oh yeah, I sold my entire GameCube and Wii collection to get my 360. I had to do it because I didn't have any other means of. I guess I could have done chores around the house and stuff, but like, yeah,
that was the option. Get rid of something you love or do chores.
Well, and at that point,
I guess it was easy.
Yeah, I am lazy, but I look back on that because I saved, I think, because then later on I had to rebuy like Melee and Double Dash, and I haven't redone Wind Waker because I keep hoping a Switch port's coming, but just all those games I'm like, yeah, that's my childhood. Like, and then I'm like, oh, I sold it for like $60 like total, and there was like 15 games or something like that. So I miss the Nintendo nostalgia a lot.
Yeah, I hear you. What about you, Dan?
I still have all my old systems. I never got rid of them, but I do regret losing all of my PC game CDs. At some point I just got rid of them when I went digital.
Yeah.
And I first I took them all out of the boxes and put them in like one of those giant jewel case things.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, that's taking too much space. It's all digital anyway. Don't worry about it. And then I got rid of them, and now I really regret that. I want those CDs back, especially when I want to go play some old school PC, trash right now. It's impossible to find even on GOG or any of those other services like the real old school stuff. Right?
Yeah.
I got that CD. Now I don't, and it's like that hurts.
Yeah, that does. It's a bummer when history's gone like that. I have two major mistakes in my life. One was I played a ton of NES games for a period of my life, and I think I had about 310 of them in my NES collection at that time. And I was a senior in high school, and I just needed money, so I dumped them for. I think for like $300 or $400.
God.
I sold my whole NES collection, which was a lot, and probably worth significantly more than what I sold it for. And then second, which is one I regretted later again, was I was in a band in the mid 90s, and I wanted some more band gear. So I sold my Neo Geo and a bunch of Neo Geo games. And that made me sad. Those were my two. I was a big fan of Neo Geo too.
Neo Geo is a gem that not a lot of people got to experience. So that's a piece of Nintendo sucks, but Neo Geo is on another level of like
Nintendo.
Esoteric.
Oh my god, you're just trolling now, Dan.
Nintendo's the worst.
Well, everybody played Nintendo anyway. That's what I'm trying to get at. Not everybody got a chance to even play a Neo Geo.
I don't think Dan was saying that Nintendo sucks.
No,
he was saying you getting rid of the collection sucks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry,
you,
I was confused. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, the PC guy's going out on a limb there.
No. I was certainly not. No.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was sad about both. I mean, they were big bummers. But yeah, it's sometimes you make bad decisions. It happens.
Was there ever
are all the questions this week about trying to find out bad decisions we made? Because that's been what's been going on here.
Maybe it's a theme, Dan. Maybe it's
okay. A theme. All right.
Maybe we're on a three-tiered monster train to hell.
Are we taking hell back?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Okay. I hope so.
If you say so. Was there ever a point where you guys stopped selling them? I mean, when was the point when you guys stopped selling your games? Do you have a moment or not really?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't sold any games in a long time. Like in a long time. Just because I'm a hoarder, and the other day I was cleaning out some stuff here for a little spring cleaning. I had, for I don't know what reason, I had like 12 copies of one of the WoW expansions. Like I don't know how. I think they sent a box.
Right.
Nobody wanted them, and I took them home. I was like, oh, I'll maybe I can hook my friends up with a couple of like Wrath of the Lich Kings. And then all of a sudden I opened up a box and I was like, I have a whole box of Wrath of the Lich Kings untouched.
And then they're still there, unopened. I guarantee it. That's because that's what you do with something like that.
They're literally right over here. So I have a problem. It was like the same thing when I gave away those game T-shirts. I had those 8 giant things that we did for Extra Life. It was just things that I had collected and I couldn't get rid of. I can't get rid of my games, though. I'm tempted. For a while I had this thing where Reiner and I, we always put games in our vault, the Game Informer vault, but we'd always get like lots of copies of bad games. But I didn't want to take good games from that we got in. I just wanted the games no one wanted. So for probably a good period of 10 years, all I asked for was if there were extra copies of bad games that I would take them. So I have a ton of bad games from like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era because I just wanted bad games, and I still have those, and I haven't sold those yet. And they're probably worth nothing, but I have a ton of bad games. I was collecting bad games for a period. I don't know why. How about you guys? Did you guys quit? Do you guys still sell stuff? Not sell stuff?
I mean, I never did.
No.
I'm one of these days I'm gonna like go fire those old systems back up, man. Just like I haven't done it in so long, so I can't wait to do it again. Just play. Forget the classics, that we play on today. I want to go fire up the old real stuff.
Do you have a CRT to do some of that?
I'm gonna have to get I'm gonna have to do that, right?
Yeah.
You can still get a CRT, right? I can get one.
Yeah, you can still get one. They're harder to get.
Yeah, they are. Man.
Be sure to hit the degauss button.
And then they could probably play for 15 minutes and then be like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the remakes are better.
Yeah. Old games, let's be honest, are not great.
I know.
They're
not great.
Some of them are great.
I don't know how many times I've tried to convince myself, like, I'm going to play this old game, and then I'll play it for like 10 minutes. Like, it's not. There are some, like Robotron 2084, obviously. Timeless. There are some huge, like, standout titles, but like the ones that were just like, yeah, that was fun. Going back to those, that was fun kind of games, like that tier, that had, oh boy, no thanks.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some old bad games, but I think they have their own charm. They have their own charm. Yeah. I think they have their special.
I want to go play some Neo Geo games now that Andy brought this up, man.
Mm-hmm.
What are we gonna? Yeah. What are we gonna punch in there? Space Harrier? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I particularly liked, which I went. By the way, I went back later and bought a Neo Geo, and got some games back. My collection's not as big as it once was, but I did get some of the arcade classics back that I liked. I loved Samurai Showdown. It was like my favorite game on that system back in the day. And also too, speaking of, because you did the review, I was a big TurboGrafx 16 fan.
Yeah.
And that mini coming out is like top tier. That is, yeah. There's so many good games on that that mini.
Space Harrier was on that, right? Not the.
Yeah,
there's a TurboGrafx version of Space Harrier. Yeah, okay. that was on everything.
It was on everything. What about
yeah?
Yeah, I was like more like NOM 1975, which and like those kind of games. Magician Lord, I don't remember those on Neo Geo. Those were classics. But TurboGrafx 16, that is a great platform for anyone. If you're looking for a retro system that you don't maybe know about, that mini is what, $99, right?
Yeah,
I want to get that like right now.
It's got a ton of really great shooters on it too. So
yeah, they had they were not scared to like rip off. There was like some Zelda rip-offs, some really great shooters. I think they have some of the CD-ROM games on there, like Ys Book 1 and 2, which at one point was like was amazing. Sorry, I'm going down a different road. I can go down. I can go down that road. That's what I'm saying. You said these old games are garbage, and I got worked up. Now I'm all like on a TurboGrafx Neo Geo NES were great.
But you're making a great case. So this is what we needed. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to try Blazing Lasers.
Mm-hmm.
Blazing Lasers. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave you with that. Blazing Lasers.
Yeah.
Great game. All right. Dear Andy and the Mini Sotans. See? Mini Sotans?
I like it.
Yes. You folks want more games? This is, by the way, people always help me out. I got another game for you. And the reward for your petition is freedom. That's right. You are once again trapped in a room with only the bare minimum necessities. This time, we don't do something as cruel as make you play a terrible game for 100 hours in the name of research. In fact, you can play any game you want for that time, but you're relegated to one of the following platforms. Philips CDI. You have to choose one, by the way.
100 hours?
This is you gotta this the way I think you're trapped for a week, and this is all you can do.
Okay.
Is play this platform. You have to choose the platform.
Yeah.
Nokia's N-Gage and the Nintendo Switch. Just kidding, Virtual Boy. It's the Virtual Boy. Good day and good gaming. Jason from Kiev, Ukraine.
No, those are awful choices.
It's Ukraine, not the Ukraine, which I must have said the Ukraine. Well, it's like that's how big. It's like the Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not I'm not dissing it. I'm giving it its props.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So this is pretty diabolical. So like Virtual Boy, N-Gage, CDI.
It sucks.
If you had got trapped and you could only play one, you can play any game you want. It's not a particular game. You can play any game you want. But I'm going to add to this game. Can you name a game for one of these platforms?
Yeah, of course. Do you have to? What's that?
Name a CDI game.
Shelley Duvall's A Bird's Life.
Wow.
Putt Putt Goes to the Moon.
How do you know so much about Philips CDI?
We had one at the store I worked at, and there was like a golf game that like every dad in Fairbanks, Alaska was like magnetically drawn to it to play this terrible golf game that was on the rotation. There was like a Sherlock Holmes detective one for CDI. Yeah, I don't pick CDI though. No way. I was hoping they were. I was hoping that they were leading up to Atari Jaguar, because then that would have been my instant pick.
Now, yeah, Jaguar would have been too easy. That would have been too easy. That would have been too easy.
I think Virtual Boy. Can you opt out of playing altogether and just be like, you know, I'm just not going to play anything, or you have to play a ton of it? Because like the Virtual Boy would be interesting, but it would really kill your eyes, right?
You would not be able to do that. It's like automatically out of the running because you would not be able to do it.
Yeah, I think I would play N-Gage because I don't think I really spent any time with that one.
Yeah.
Because, I wasn't in the market for a phone.
Well, I mean, basically, N-Gage, side talking is all anyone remembers N-Gage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Is side talking. That's it, period. Which is where everyone held it like a taco and talked pictures. Just for anyone who didn't know what side talking was.
And didn't you have to take the battery out to put the game in also?
Yeah. I think that's what you had to do. I think that's
seriously
the one.
Insane.
Seriously insane.
Yeah.
Now that said, Virtual Boy, I'm with you. It gave me a headache, and my solution for Virtual Boy, I took it with me on a trip somewhere because I was like, I wanted to test that it was a portable game system. Which, by the way, I just did air quotes for anyone not watching.
Yeah.
So I took it with me on a trip. So I had it in my bag or whatever, and I got to my hotel, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to play it." And I was trying to play it like on a desk, and it's super uncomfortable because you have to like lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Okay, this stinks." So my solution for playing Virtual Boy was I took pillows because I was at a hotel and had a ton of pillows and no one around, and made like a circle in the middle of the bed, and then put the Virtual Boy face up. So then I would lay on those and hold the controller above my head, right?
Uh-huh.
And then like putting it like you're bobbing for apples.
Yeah,
put your face into the Virtual Boy. And I was like, oh, this is the solution. This is going to make it not be horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to guess, was that a good idea or a bad idea?
It actually sounds like a really good idea, but I bet you had a bad experience because you said this.
Yeah,
but I actually think that it was smart.
Yeah, it was looking for a solution.
Yeah,
but it didn't fix it. It didn't fix it.
Yeah, and then housekeeping came in and called the police on you, probably.
Yeah, they're like, why is this Virtual Boy Stonehenge of pillows going on?
It happened again.
Yeah. So you pick N-Gage. What do you pick, Dan?
I picked the CDI easily. This is like the easiest choice ever. I played, Mad Dog McCree, Seventh Guest, Space Ace. Come on, like that. I'd have a blast.
That controller is so bad.
The controller is complete.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so bad.
But there are at least titles on that. The other things, I mean, for the Virtual Boy's out. I'm gonna fry my cones and my rods. Forget that. And the N-Gage, as we say, there was nothing to play on that thing.
And Alex, you don't know what any of these are.
I know what 2 out of the 3 are. I got excited because I thought he was gonna say 3DO, and I was like, I've played the 3DO, and it was 3D. So it's not the same. I guess I would do N-Gage because there was probably Snake on it, right? Snake's a great game.
Yeah, we can call each other.
Yeah,
Snake for a week.
Exactly. Snake for a week. I get to call Cork and just cry into the phone.
Exactly.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's a tough choice. It really is a tough choice. I kind of want to play more Virtual Boy, but I just know it's dreadful. It's just a dreadful experience because like the tennis game is fun. Like the Mario tennis game is like fun. Like some of the games are fun, and the 3D does work.
Yeah,
it's just unpleasant at pretty much every level. Yeah, maybe. I guess what it sounds to me is like maybe I should explore the CDI universe. I've never really played that Zelda game. Have you guys ever really played that Zelda game?
Not the Zelda game, but there's the CDI library is actually, you at least got all those first generation crappy PC CD-ROM games on that thing, right? So like you could spend a week just doing history lessons on that thing. So
yeah, I think even though the controller's the worst, that it would be the least offensive experience. Because the N-Gage is not, the screen is like, I remember at one point I felt like that was a pretty big screen, and when you look back at it now, it is so incredible. I mean, it looks like a stamp.
Yeah.
If you know what a postal stamp is, which probably most people don't. That's how that's how they go.
The old way of communicating.
Yes. Next up. So, hey, Andy and the crew. So, with Maneater coming out, it got me thinking, what other animal games should we get? We've gotten to live the fantasy of being the killer shark with Jaws Unleashed and Maneater, but that's it. There has to be another animal that would make a great game, right? What do you guys think? Colton from Texas.
Maybe some kind of ape out game. That might work.
Don't be ridiculous.
Look at you, yeah.
Good call.
Maybe a game without a title. An untitled goose game.
Oh,
wow. Look at that. You guys came prepared. Now,
I'm always thinking about waterfowl, Andy, so it was real.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. Freedom Duck. Okay, Alex, do you have any animal references that maybe were missed here by that we haven't really thought about?
I didn't put that much thought into this. I do think like a cougar, like a jaguar game could be kind of cool, because you'd be fast, you could strike, the stealth could be there, like if you're a jaguar and you're hunting in the jungle, a little predator hunting grounds type action. I don't know.
Okay. I thought of the grizzly bear, like that I kind of like the idea. I know there's been various like kind of funny, like, you go and kind of screw up like Yogi Bear style, like someone's picnic, but I like the idea of it being more Maneater, and that you don't just like knock over their picnic basket. I mean, like, you ruin their lives, you eat them, you make a mess out of the park. Like, I think the bear deserves respect.
Yeah, bear would be great too, because you've got two different stances you could switch between. You've got like a bipedal mode, and then also 4 on the floor when you just need to book it.
Yeah, I mean, the bear RPG definitely works. And I think too, I want to tell you this. This is a story, again, once again, because I tell too many stories, but I was at Yellowstone and we were driving along, and there were these bears out. And then I saw these people running, and I was like, that's a bear. Like, I'm not, number one, I'm not getting out of my car. I don't know what everyone else is doing, but for Andy, I'm not getting out of the car. That's a bear. It's a grizzly bear. And I watched these people running after this bear with a camera, and they're running this bear with like 3 cubs towards the river, right? They're following it to the river. So they're essentially, in my mind, cornering a bear. And, a game like the Grizzly, the Bear Eater might teach some lessons to people, because I drove away going like, I'm getting out of here before there is a massacre at massive levels where this bear gets very, very angry and just does not mess around anymore.
Yeah, so deservedly so.
And that's the thing. When you go to those parks, they're like, bring bear spray, and they'll be like, someone died here recently, and you're like, no, and then you're like, oh yeah, somebody did. So people need to be aware that bears are bad.
I like the idea too.
Bears are great, but they're dangerous.
If you play as like the mama bear, you could have the cubs. They'd be like options and Gradius, where you just pick them up as a power up, and you have like a little train of bears behind you.
They circle around you. Yeah.
And increases how angry you get when people get closer to you. Yeah. I think this could work. I like it.
Yeah, I think it could work too. I think it's a good question. But so we have the Jaguar. We have, of course, the Goose game. We have the Ape Out. Maybe
Goat Simulator. Forgot about Goat Simulator.
Goat Simulator. There you go.
There it is. That's a classic. Yeah.
That is a classic. So we need these animal games. This is fun. I'm into this. I think you could do more. I think you definitely do more. I think imagine if you could do a game. How about this? Another weird one, but one where you control a flock of birds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I like how this is going.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's not one animal.
Yeah.
You're this weird flock that like descends in and like just. Well, once we start, what was the name of our studio, Dan?
Descending in. That is a very different approach than I was going with the birds.
You wouldn't have it like, I'd have it be a flock simulator, like fly in and pick people to the bone.
Okay. I was thinking you could have like a farm sim where you feed the animals.
Oh.
But that's cool. I mean, hey, that actually sounds pretty cool. Like the birds. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to. I'm making it's like a terror. It's like supposed to be silly. If you played never mind.
No, I get the man eater vibe. I totally get it. I understand.
I need to start my Kickstarter. Is what I need to do. Get this stuff built.
I don't think a flock would do the job as nicely. Maybe like just a giant mutant bird.
Mm-hmm. Just no. Okay, do you remember piranhas? Like piranhas, like the fact that it's a small fish. Like whenever you go and see one in an aquarium, you're like, oh, look, it's just a little piranha. Oh yeah, I got sharp teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone shows you that video of that cow that wanders into the river, and you're like, my God, what is going on here, right? Like, what is going on? I'm saying you transfer that weird, horrific moment in your mind to like these ravens that you're like, oh, it's just birds. But then all of a sudden they just descend on you like piranhas and annihilate, and you control that flock. So you get like cool like flock AI mechanics. Never mind. This is why I guess I'm journalism. Probably
it's not bad. It can work.
And one of the scenes in this one would be that there's this guy who's farming ducks, and you descend on his farm and pick it apart. Just destroy
I don't like that part of the game. Yeah, why would they do that? They're killing their own.
They're recruiting them. They're bringing them in. They don't have to be the same species, right?
I disagree, because the rest of these killer piranha birds don't respect the duck who just sits there.
They're a lesser.
Waddles around, right? The freedom duck doesn't stand for what they stand for.
Yeah. And the bill is rounded anyway. You can't chew up a person with that.
True.
Get out of here.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
They could be like a subclass, though.
It's like safety scissors of the bird world.
They can pick up pieces of bread on top of the water.
They can. They can do that.
They can do that
very well. Yes.
But that's not. Oh, by the way, death from above. That's the name. I just. By the way, I just did that right there. Mm-hmm. Freedom ducks have no space in death from above.
You can have death from above, and I'll just have the quaint tranquility of a summer evening with my ducks. All right,
with Duck Simulator. Yes. So, what's up, GI Gang? Sam from Chicago here, longtime listener, first time caller. I recently started playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and came across a side quest that I found particularly relevant to our current circumstances with coronavirus. There was a village I discovered that had been burned to the ground because of a plague that had spread through it. Nearby was a family that was about to be executed because they were believed to have the disease, and their captors didn't want to risk them spreading it further. You are stuck with the decision to allow the family to be killed or save them. I found this specific circumstance to be rather profound due to the presence and fear that we are all experiencing because of coronavirus. It made me think about the choice I had in a way that really brought into consideration the current situation of my life. Have you guys had any similar experiences? Has there ever been a moral decision in a game that you took into consideration based on circumstances in your real life? Thanks for taking the time to read this, and keep it up, guys. Regards, Sam. P.S. I had the family in the village killed because they didn't have masks on. Stay safe. Hashtag stay safe. So he made a very bold choice. I think he's saying wear your masks. I think this is what he's saying right there. I think that's what Sam is saying. So did you guys play that section of AC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm actually I found is it Phoebe is the little girl?
Yeah.
Right. I just ran back into her in game, and she talked about how, because I saved that family, and she's like, you might want to go back because the village, there's rumors that it's like ravaged by plague right now. I was like, oh, because I'm a big softie, man. I always like save when I can, but that may not have been the right choice there. So
yeah. Well, it's a tough choice, right? That's a very deep cut. The Naughty Dog question that they have there in that. How about you, Cork?
Yeah, I think I killed them.
Did you kill them?
I think I did. Yeah, I'm usually a big softie, but just seemed like
you were worried about the town, and you made a tough decision.
Yeah,
I let them live, and I later when Phoebe told me that, I was like, bad call.
Yeah,
but there's a no win there. See, that's the thing is I don't think there's a win. There's not a winning scenario in that. That's a lose. I went with the maybe there's a win,
right?
Which was maybe the mistake. But that's the thing with those games. Sometimes I'm like, nah, I'd like to go with number 3, like quarantine. Can we just quarantine these people? Like, can we pick a third option?
Yeah,
that's not so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But games sometimes make you make choices that are ridiculous. But I did the same thing. I actually did this. I started playing the game again recently. I finished the core game. I'm still playing. There's so much like extra content, but I did finish the core game and a lot of the mercenary train or tree, and also I killed all the cultists. Mm-hmm. I tracked them down, but there's still so much content in that game. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But I thought of the same thing too. I thought it was very relevant. But are there any games? Have you ever made another choice in a game that you thought was interesting along those lines? Because I can't think of one.
Yeah, I can't either.
We're really knocking it out of the park with the monster train. Yep. With this, and by the way, I totally missed the transition. We just went straight into viewer mail. This is like we're off our game. You know what?
We had a transition.
I was on the monster train, man. I was just going with it.
Yeah. Okay. I think you know what it was. It was Memorial Day weekend, and we had a short week to get this done. So things are off the rails. This monster train is going where it wants at this point.
I think it's going exactly where it needs to be.
Exactly where it needs to go. Okay. Ahoy, Game Informers. During last week's conversation about The Last of Us, as required by law and in accordance with the scripture, you mentioned the giraffe scene. I did not play Tilu until the PS4 remaster, and I managed to avoid all spoilers. But I could not avoid hearing that there was an amazing moment with giraffes. When I finally reached it, I was confused. Had it not been part of every conversation surrounding the game, I would have thought nothing of it, aside from there being a brief moment of respite in an otherwise tense game. I have two questions. A, what impact was this scene supposed to have on me? And B, have you ever had something hyped up but found it unremarkable when experiencing it for yourself? Cheers, PDV, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's a good question, and I think very relevant. Yeah, I think sometimes people build things up and have a odd reaction to it. What is the reaction you're supposed to have, Jeff, when you see giraffes in The Last of Us?
I think you're supposed to. It's a moment like the writer pointed out to pause and reflect. It was one of the few times you saw Ellie being kind of taken in by the wonder of the world. Like there was still something beautiful out there, even though they just gotten done, stabbing people in the face or whatever, like 10 minutes before that. But I think that's what it is, just like a nice lull. And that's what it's supposed to do. It's a shame that a moment like that was built up for that person, because I think it is a nice moment. I don't think it's something that you're just like, oh my God, I need to blog about this immediately, because giraffes saved my life too in real life. That moment was really impactful or something. But yeah, it's just a nice little moment.
Yeah, I think it's a shared moment that a lot of people had, that it does get blown out of proportion. And that does, I think that does happen. It's hard to think about games that happens to me, but there's definitely, we've all had that friend when you're playing a game and they're like, have you gotten to that part yet? Have you gotten to that part yet? Mm-hmm. Have you gotten to that part yet? Or are you watching that series? Have you gotten to that part? Oh man, that part. And then
you'll know the one. I don't want to say anything, but you'll know.
Right. And then you're watching, you go like, when's that part? And like, when is that part? When does that part happen? And then you finish, you go like, what was the part? And then they tell you and you go like, oh, that part. Yeah. I think that does happen. And I think sometimes you're looking for it, and that kind of screws it up a little bit. So that's the importance of, dodging spoilers. Certainly, I think is the lesson there. And so sorry for bringing up giraffes for anyone that didn't know. But we are past that, that period. We can't be forever beholden to like no spoilers forever.
Yeah.
At some point they just become a part of, society. But certainly we don't want to spoil any game for anyone. How about you? You've made a big deal out of ducks. So do you understand why giraffes got out of control?
I do. Again, because it's a moment that doesn't sync with the rest of the things that you're experiencing. Yeah. It takes you out of the constant death and struggle to survive. Right? It's just that moment, and I think when you do know that moment is coming, it does ruin it quite a bit. Actually, it doesn't ruin is not the word. It takes a lot away from it, because the scene will start, or you'll see something and you'll be like, oh, there's that thing everyone was talking about. And then your mind is instantly going back to all those things you already saw and heard about this thing, instead of making your own new judgments and analysis based on the thing in its raw environment and its pure form. And I think that works for movies, games, whatever kind of medium, you choose to engage with from a creative outlet. If you know something's coming, the impact is lessened, period.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
That was my experience with the original BioShock. Because I didn't play it right away. The ending of that game still sunk its teeth into me, no doubt, and I still enjoyed it. But I was looking for Can we say anything about BioShock ending?
It's really old.
I think we try to dodge that one in particular.
Okay.
Really?
The ending. I try to because it's the ending. You know what I mean? I feel like
I respect
the giraffes is like, it's a moment, but I mean, like, it doesn't define the game. I feel like that one really defines that game.
Sure, I agree.
Well, okay, yeah. There was a certain weapon type I was looking for, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
And, and then when I saw it, it was like, it's like, okay, here it is, type of thing. And Dan's 100% right. It's still, the moment was still great, but there's a purity that's lost when things are spoiled like that.
Like, versus when we were watching The Mandalorian, one of my favorite things about that is that I had not had like, Baby Yoda instantly just became this oversaturated meme, but seeing it the day that it was released, like, my family and I got to be, like, surprised by that moment, and it's fantastic. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw that thing 2 weeks later, and it had been destroyed. I mean, like, there was just no way to avoid it. I mean, like, normally I would have given you grief for spoiling it right here, but you can't spoil that anymore because it's
everywhere.
It's everywhere. Like, you cannot avoid that one. It blew up, which is unfortunate. But it's funny. You can't really put rules on it. You know what I mean? Like, it is kind of is what it is.
Once something's out there, it's out there. Like, you can't control it. And if we can be respectful of spoilers here, and I think we are, like, 100% of the time. But not everyone is. And we live in a society now. Like, back then, even BioShock was a very different world of, like, getting spoiled on stuff. Right now, it's like you are literally connected to everyone at all times.
Yeah, it is. But it is a question. I think a little bit. One that I thought was interesting was, like, people. And this is not by the way. These people are greater than those people kind of thing. Please don't go any kind of that kind of business. But, like, people who read the books, like, for Game of Thrones, were like, I can't wait till you get there. Like, that was a really fun experience. I can't wait for your reactions are. Let's see what your reactions are. And once that show took off, like, people watching it on the East Coast would, like, spam Twitter right at, like, as it happened. And people on the West Coast were like, I can't even watch this show yet. And it's everywhere. You know what I mean? So I do think there are no hard and fast rules, but I mean, like, you should try to be cool to each other, right? Is ultimately, exactly. I think, the real rule. And that particular show, I know it was a shared moment, and people point to it being a shared moment, and I understand that. But man, having read the books, I was like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I know what's coming. You're not going to spoil anything for me, but I would be pretty upset if, like, some of those things had been spoiled for me on the other side. So it's tough.
And it's not like there's tools. We're not in, like, the early days of the internet anymore. There's tools out there. There's groups out there that are specifically you can go as niche as you want and get to the game to spoil things. Like, don't be,
or do a shared experience some other way, right? Other than, like, on Big Blast. And there are tools to, like, mute words and mute all kinds of other things to, like, help you, like, dodge that stuff. But it's like, why is it on me?
No, I was saying,
why is it on me?
I was saying, if you want to spoil stuff, find those groups to do it in. Don't be an asshole and take away someone's fun or someone's experience.
Yeah, 100%. So I thought it was funny that I did get so many GI Town stuff this week. I just want to give a little, like, call out. And this is a request that we're not going to do because we're not doing it anymore. But basically, what tune plays as the GI Town is in your rear view mirror as you drive off? Just think about that.
Never Surrender.
That's for you to decide. That's just a larger question.
Sure.
But GI Town's gone. Just let you know it's in the rearview mirror. Put in your own favorite, like, rock tune you want to put in there, and also too, whatever it says. But we've moved on. Thank you. But please, we would love to play more Kiss, Marry, Kill. Let us know what you got. So this one is from Jefferson from Citrus Heights, California. So this choice is much broader. This might be the broadest one that's been brought to the table yet. This one's big. This one's could be challenging, could be easy for some, but I think it's interesting. It's a talker. This is the broadest one you can think of. It's console gaming versus PC gaming versus handheld gaming. Kiss, Marry, Kill. Now, he has some rules here. So PC games includes all VR. handheld games includes all phones and tablet gaming as well. So the Switch is in this category, but only in handheld mode, which that one's tough to understand. Like, I think the Switch, do we want to put the Switch as a console? I think we put the Switch as a console, right? Versus a handheld. I think that's what we're going to make an adjustment there.
Yeah.
And for simplicity's sake, for console gets, like, they're saying in this particular case, this is another rule point that we should discuss, is that like Destiny would be a console game, not a PC game.
That's not
not acceptable. You're saying if it's available on there, it's fine. So console would just be. Okay. All right. Well, so what about Xbox games? Let's just make sure we get all the rules through here, though. What about Xbox games, which tend to come out on PC and Xbox?
Right. I know. Right. That's a new thing, though. So if we want to be rules lawyers here, we can say that since we can let Xbox have their exclusives and PlayStation have the exclusives to the console.
Because I think it's more interesting, right? Yeah. If Switch and Xbox and PlayStation's exclusives are all on there. So we agree on those rules. All right. So. Kiss, that category is totally eliminated. Kiss, you get it. It's out, but Kilt's gone, right? So we're looking at that. It's a tough choice. I know what Dan's answers is. We're gonna get Dan's answers over with because we all know what it is. He's the PC editor at Game Informer. Which one do you marry, Dan?
A PC, obviously. Yeah, come on,
obviously. But here's the tough question: handheld versus console.
Is that even tough? No, I keep the console. The handheld games, which handheld game am I going to run out to save? Are you kidding me right now?
You're just going to kill them all.
Well, I have to kill one of them, Andy. I'm not going to kill consoles, am I? No.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to go save the loot box that I have to wait 24 hours to open that I can pay to recharge my energy. Re-up.
Well, maybe we should have kept the Switch in there. Does that make it too easy? Would it change your answer if the Switch was in there?
Wouldn't change my answer.
It wouldn't change your answer. Okay. All right. Alex, how about you?
If we did switch it, it would change my answer. But marry console, love me some console exclusives. I would kiss PC for like the VR and the
occasional strategy game you'll play.
Yeah, or like if I really want to like have a game and blast like the 4K super crisp visuals, and then I can play Florence and Donut County on my Switch. So goodbye handheld. So, but if I think I would kill off PC if it meant the Switch was in the handheld one.
Well, let's do that then, so we can kill off PC.
You just want the comments to be mad at me. I don't like that. I just because like. I've talked about it before, and Nintendo games are some of my favorites, and I don't think I could prosper.
I mean, that's basically. Them. I mean, you'd be losing to some degree all those handheld greats, right? Like the 3DS.
Yeah,
you do.
And the Game Boy Color, something.
And then it takes away Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. I
mean, you guys pretty easy with you're just like, okay, all right.
We've done this so many times, Andy. We know that.
Exactly. We know how that is.
Accept that.
That's fair enough. How about you, Jeff Cork?
I'm exactly like Alex. Yeah, kiss PC, marry console, and kill handheld. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I think the thing that's interesting to me is that console and PC fill up a lot of the same space. You know what I mean? That's the only reason I give any like leanings towards handheld is that it's on the go, right? Like with a PC and console, I'm doing something. I'm like at a chair or sitting on my couch watching it. So I have to like choose between those, and that's tough. I mean, I think maybe I think about this too much, but I mean, I think PC is the winner for me, right? And then I almost think it's kiss handheld and kill console, which is crazy.
You lose the exclusives.
Yeah, it is exclusives.
Goodbye, last.
It's so good.
Goodbye, Ghosts.
Yeah, no, I just feel like if they're gone forever, they'll make those games on PC.
Yeah, you're right.
Like those games aren't gone. I'm just saying that in the broadest sense, that console and PC are kind of in the same space a little bit. Like that they're similar. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I mean, if it was just like a simple, like just give it, I would get rid of handheld too. Like, you know what I mean? I obviously the console exclusives, they might be the best example of games that there are. right? Do you know what I mean? Like they really do. They stand out like when they're like really designed that way. Just like I think the PC exclusive, by the way, games that really take advantage of all the things that PC does are like really stand out. But that's a tough question. Thank you for that. Last week I asked about music. You guys got back to me, and someone mentioned that this is actually from Justin from Middle of Nowhere, Texas. He mentioned that the answer when we talk about game music was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that it has an incredible, dynamic, and uplifting classical soundtrack, and basically said makes him want to explore a rolling countryside. It's best music soundtrack. And I want you to know that I then listened to Xenoblade Chronicles when I did all my like email stuff this weekend. It's pretty good.
Okay.
You guys have any OSTs you listen to?
We talked about them last week. Yeah,
I know, but like anything else?
Final Fantasy all day, every day, baby.
Every day. You didn't expand your horizon since last week. You just listened to the same one. You didn't listen to anything new.
No, not over the last week. I'm the same man I was then.
Yeah, you've been playing too much Monster Train. I got
it. True, actually.
Yep. That's true. All right. Okay. All right. Also, they talked a little bit about Jonathan from Omaha asked us about when we talked about like the real world Matrix and how we'd have to be like brought up and living in the Matrix. He was like, we were confused as to how you'd ever leave the Matrix, that you'd just live there. And he was like, you'd go to work. You'd have to go to work to pay for this expensive Matrix and connections and games and everything that you're doing. You'd have to go to work. So he just wanted us to know you gotta go to work.
Well, we're assuming we're post what we know of society now, though. So it wouldn't be that everyone would have to go to work. Actually,
so you're saying in the future when we're plugged in that no one ever works anymore, that work is gone.
Work will still exist, but not for everyone.
Or it could be within the Matrix. You plug in to work.
So you're saying that only like doctors have jobs. Everyone else.
There will be a great reduction in automation, which is like definitely coming before the neural implants. We will be removing a lot of jobs. Yes, and those people aren't going to go anywhere. So we'll have a system in place. By the time we get to that level, we'll absolutely be able to take care of society, a non-working populace.
Did you start working on your novels yet?
I mean, you know what? I really should, Andy. I got
wondering.
Few spare minutes to squirrel away these awesome nuts for my novel.
Do you like squirrels too? Do you have a squirrel hat?
You know what? I don't even like squirrels. I don't like squirrels. I don't like most rodents.
Do you think we have to work in the future, Chef Cork?
I don't know. I guess it's something I hadn't really thought about much of. I would imagine that I'll have to work for my future, so.
I wasn't speaking of us specifically.
Yeah.
On the train.
The monster train?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. It all comes back.
The monster train. So, and then finally, we had someone wrote in. They just said that Deliver Us the Moon was fun. We reviewed it. We never talked about it on the show, and we had a writer come in and say like, "Hey, it was a good game." So I want to share that they recommend it. I haven't played it yet. It's actually been on my list. Have you guys checked that out yet?
Not yet.
Which one?
Deliver Us the Moon.
No.
Okay. Right. So this concludes a weird podcast edition of the Game Informer Show. I don't know why we were so off the rails. You know what? One, it could be, I don't even know. I said this to myself when we started. I don't know how many weeks we've been doing this show in quarantine. I lost track. It's been that many.
You used to be my barometer for that too, because you'd start every show like, this is week 6. And I was like, okay, 6 weeks.
I've lost track. But the world is opening back up. But be nice to each other.
Wear masks.
Thank you. Wear masks. And just be nice to each other. Give people space. Let's be nice. This is a tough time for everybody. I want to remind everyone, thank you everyone out there who's a hero. Whatever you're doing, if you're working on the front lines, got to go back to work. Please. We thank you from Game Informer. We thank you for listening to the show. Please send us your questions to podcast@gameinformer.com. I apologize. This whole episode was a monster train wreck.
It was awesome.
I had fun for what it's worth.
But I went back. I got it back to the monster. Did you see?
I saw what you did, but it wasn't a train wreck.
No, you didn't.
A laser-filled romp.
A laser
ride through hell, man.
Was it? Okay, all right. This was a 3-tiered ride through hell on the monster train. We will see you back here next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye-bye.